computer survived the mystery drive. Good. Let's wipe it out anyways.
The wacky world of MultimediaJay.
As you all know, or if you don't, you're about to, the project systems all have their own concentrated coolness to them. Right now that concentrated coolness is kind of based on when they were built. They represent basically the best of what was available at the time, and basically systems where I want to see how long they stay relevant if their time has already passed, or if their prime has already passed, I should say. The Silver Bullet right now houses the Core 2 Duo system that I built in 2007, which has proven itself to be over the hill as far as processors go. Old school dual core, just not worth it anymore. You want at least quad core, and even then, I don't know how long quad core is going to stick around. The thing is though, in terms of not swapping out all the insides, the only real option for this motherboard was a Core 2 Quad. Well, what do you know? There just happens to be a few of those floating around out there. Refurbishing can be pretty big business nowadays, and now it's getting to the extent that it's overseas big business, apparently. There apparently is a glut of Core 2 Quads of a certain model type that are floating around out there, and it just so happens that I happen to spot one of these on Newegg from Korn Electronics, one of the third-party sellers in their marketplace. This is a Core 2 Quad, forgot what the model number was, but the point is it's quad core. It's a refurbished CPU, and oh, check this out. Need your positive review if you are satisfied. Contact us if any problem, blah 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 blah. Korn Electronics is one of those third-party folks over at Newegg where you'll see them pop up if you turn on other sellers. Now, I've never had any experience with them as of yet, and this isn't an expensive processor, so it won't be too much of a loss if this turns out to be a dud. But anyways, so what we have here is a little bit of proof that it's a refurbisher of some sort. Check it out, it's in an AMD package. Whatever you can package the CPU with. Can I open this with one hand? Yes, I can. And the only real issue I have is right here, this little sticker with the stuff in Chinese on it. I don't know if that's supposed to be a warranty sticker, like don't remove this or you'll void your warranty, but it's covering up some of the contacts on the processor. I do not like that. How am I going to get this off? Well, am I going to have to wipe down the contacts with alcohol or something before installing the CPU? Is it going to work? I mean, if this was supposed to be a don't remove this sticker type doohickey, then no. Actually, well, I'm basically going to consider this thing throwaway at this point. This is documented on camera anyways. Let's see if we can get, if not the entire sticker off, just enough of the sticker off so that it's not an issue. Now, this newer Core 2 Duo is actually a lower TDP than its predecessor. So what I'm actually going to do is try and reuse the stock cooler. What I'm going to try and do actually is reuse the stock cooler on this thing. So let me see, I think if you went towards the arrows, the thing would come off. And that's one of the problems I had with it earlier, was that I got everything mixed up. Got everything mixed up and the thing actually half came off. And I was wondering why the processor was overheating. Let's not do this with one hand. Okay, stock cooler is off. Now here's the result of the last time I tried putting thermal material on this. I might have used a little too much, and it might have had a little bit of a blanket effect on the CPU. You're supposed to use the line method on old dies like this. I might have used too thick of a line, so to speak. But you'll notice that when I pressed down the thing on top of it, it spread everything out to cover up the entire surface of everything. That's where the whole less is more thing comes from when you hear people talk about applying thermal compound. It's basically, I mean, you don't see it when it works, but you want as thin of a layer as possible so it doesn't become an insulator of sorts, because thermal material is supposed to basically help the heat transfer better between the two metal surfaces that may not be perfectly touching. Let's get this cleaned off and let's get this processor out. Duo is out, and let me just mention the biggest concern I have with that warranty sticker on the underside of that Core 2 Quad. It's paper. I don't want a combustible on the underside of a CPU that heats up. So I don't know if that'll hurt anything, but I'd rather it not. Not exactly, I don't know why that thing's even on there. Maybe it's not a warranty sticker. I don't know what it says in Chinese. But anyways, I want to see if I can get that thing off with a putty knife before mounting the processor in here. There it is, Q9400 circa 2006, Core 2 Quad. And there are so many of these things that they're dirt cheap right now, and Newegg is even hosting these in warehouse space on our shores. You buy Corn Electronics stuff of other SKUs, you'll have to wait for it to ship over from China. Apparently, this stuff is sitting in the Newegg warehouse in New Jersey. There, that's better. I got a little tacky by taking a push pin and taking off the sticker one piece at a time and then going over everything with some alcohol to clean up the remaining adhesive and the contacts and things along those lines. But I'll tell you what, I really don't appreciate buying a processor upgrade and spending the first half hour with said processor poking off a combustible on the bottom of a CPU. Now, there are more mild cases where as the processor heats up for the first time, the adhesive will heat up on the sticker and it'll just fall into the socket, but I really don't feel like having paper underneath the CPU. Okay, older processor, larger die. Arctic Silver instructs a horizontal line across the chip, you know, with the tick marks being, you know, the vertical stuff, and the tick marks, of course, are going this way. So basically a horizontal line across the text on the thing. Last time I used too much, so I've also done this in the wrong direction too, so I wonder why the thing's running hot, and I'm like, oops, I applied it the wrong way. But anyways, this should give us the best coverage over where the dies are underneath the heat spreader, and well, we'll see how the temps do. I hate this stock cooler. I really do. I wonder how many motherboards have been bent by these things, because you don't know if it's reset or whatnot, but the biggest cardinal sin of these darn things is they use plastic to mount everything instead of metal. You know, there are things like nuts, bolts, screws, things that have been around for forever. But oh no, let's be clever and have stupid little plastic things that fall apart. This thing has already popped loose and nearly baked a chip once. I'm surprised it hasn't bent the board in the process. Maybe that's why the thing randomly powers on and off from time to time. Yeah, stock coolers. They're not just horrible because they're loud and they barely do their job. Sometimes they just suffer from bad mechanical design. Alright, let's apply power and see if it works. See if the fan spins up, see if I get some noises from the ketchup and mustard cables getting stuck in other fans. Oh, this thing has seen better days. Zero cable management, baby. Hope that doesn't get stuck. I think I do have the CPU overheat thing still available. Spin. I did remember to plug the fan in, right? Come on, Arctic Silver. Bake yourself in. We get a post! Woohoo! Core 2 Quad Q9400. So now 4 cores of 2.66 gigahertz goodness. Whatever. I'm just going into the BIOS right now, and I'm going to turn on the warning temp. Let's set that as low as it'll go. 60 degrees. And... yes. Set that as low as it'll go. 60 degrees. That way, if the heatsink falls off, we'll know early before the thing barbecues itself. Core 2 Quad Q9400. So yeah, I gotta get rid of that stock cooler. But the thing is, this is the lowest computer on the totem pole in terms of the project systems. So it's not a really high priority. The only thing this thing's getting is... Ladies and gentlemen, we're already at 60 degrees Celsius.
Epic fail.
Did I say 8400? I misread the fine print, even though I have my glasses on. Actually, it's a 9400 Yorkfield. Ay. But I have it downclocked to 2 gigahertz right now because this thing is running terribly. This thing is running as bad as the Athlon XP on the original, well, Silver Bullet. I didn't think history would repeat itself this way, but there seems to be some updates downloading and things like that, but we are getting our 4 cores, but it's time to get rid of that stock cooler. We gotta figure out what I want to put in this thing, or do I want to do a hand-me-down and get something better for Monolith? But, yeah, this is awful. This is just awful. So we've gotten into the 60s on this thing, and I've got it downclocked to 2 gigahertz now. It should be able to do 266, just like its predecessor. The interesting thing is, the Gigabyte board that I have in this thing actually does have overclocking features on it. Even some automatic overclockers, not unlike the stuff that's in with an AMD Ryzen nowadays, where if there's thermal headroom, it boosts things up. And this is a 2007 motherboard we're talking about here. So now we've got some form of Core 2 Quad in this thing. let's see if I can finally hook this thing up with some third-party cooling and get rid of that awful stock cooler. The good news is now that this thing is properly detecting instead of misdetecting as a Core 2 Duo Yorkdale that it was earlier, got a TJ max of 100 degrees. So let's set the warning temperature to 90 degrees instead, and see if we can get the buzzer to not go off with 2.66 gigahertz. But I am looking to upgrade the cooling on this thing. I am most certainly not running it in its current state. I also turned off the fan speed thingy for the processor fan, and just for the heck of it, let's turn up all the fans. I think I'm only using those two knobs on that side anyways. Make it nice and loud like it used to be in the bad old days. We're not going to use any of the overclocking features on the board just yet, but let's see if we can get Nova Bench on this thing. Here's what I want to play with right here. CIA2, Disabled Cruise Sports Racing Turbo Full Thrust. I haven't used this feature on this board yet. Wonder if I have to hook up the auxiliary power with that extra Molex connector for it to run stably in that respect. In any event, yeah, let's make some plans to get some aftermarket cooling to this thing. For now, though, let's at least get it back to 266 and see if it doesn't barbecue itself. It's time for the stock cooler to go away. This project is over until it does go away. I didn't go to all the trouble to finally make this thing quad-core in order to barbecue the darn ship. Shut it down. At least it is going below 100 watts now. 70s and 80s and things like that. But it's time to put some aftermarket cooling on this thing, because the stock cooler from the Core 2 Duo just isn't going to cut the mustard. Obviously. Not that it was that great of a stock cooler anyways. So do I want to go Hyper 212 Evo, or maybe try something cheaper and see how much mileage I can get from it? I don't know, but I'm not doing anything because I'm not doing anything strenuous with this thing, because if you bring the machine up to 100% load, the processor hits its thermal slowdown point and maybe even shuts off. And that's at 266. I could run this thing downclocked to 2 gigahertz, but the better option, obviously, is to get rid of the darn stock cooler. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay, signing off. Thanks for stopping by.
Want to support the wackiness? Visit patreon.com/multimediajay.